Zanoba wonders if Pax's death was Hidegami's doing, and Rudy admits that it is possible. Rudy plans to cremate Pax's corpse, but Zanoba wants to bring Pax's body to the rebels so that the revolt could conclude. They see that Randolph is carrying Benedict on his back. Randolph was aware of Pax's plan for suicide. He was instructed to then bring his wife Benedict back to the kingdom of the Dragon King. So as a group, they all travel back through the secret passageway. They see the Mark I magic armor on the other end. Randolph notes that if Rudy had used this armor, Randolph would have been in trouble. He further notes that contrary to Rudy's assessment, Randolph was actually becoming worn down from their attacks. Rudy wonders if maybe they could have won if they didn't second-guess themselves, but decides it doesn't matter because the correct choice would have been to avoid fighting in the first place. Rudy questions Randolph on how he knows Hidegami. Randolph reports that he heard a story from one of his relatives. So in order to protect his fiancée, bodyguard, he stole the fighting god armor at the suggestion of Hidegami and fought dragon god Laplace. In the end, he failed to protect the fiancée and the two struck one another down. Although Randolph feels this story is a myth, it is through this story that he has heard of Hidegami. Rudy thinks to himself that he has heard the story of how the fighting god and dragon king had fought from both Kirishika and Orsted. But he also finds it strange that someone as lighthearted as bodyguard I would do something like this. Randolph then indicates that he will return to the kingdom of the Dragon King, and when Benedict gives birth, Randolph will then raise the child, so Randolph then parts ways with the group while carrying Benedict. So the rebels have taken over the castle and are celebrating their victory. Pax's corpse is displayed in the town square, and most people are indifferent, as Pax's reign was short, and he was neither hated nor loved. Seeing his dead brother's corpse, Zanoba is quite emotional. Rudy wonders if he should have cremated Pax after all. Rudy can see in Zanova's face that he did indeed care for Pax. Rudy ruminates on how he should have been able to save Pax, and he wonders if Jade, the leader of the rebels, was actually Hidegami's apostle. Rudy thinks to himself that it doesn't matter now, and that all their efforts have been for nothing. Roxy is depressed, now knowing how her failure to be encouraging as a teacher had a major negative impact on Pax. She admits to Rudy that she did indeed ignore him when Pax showed how he mastered intermediate magic. She admits she may have been comparing Pax to Rudy, who was naturally gifted at magic. While she recognized she didn't do a great job as a teacher, she blamed it on the environment at the royal palace at the time. She didn't realize how her attitude had such an effect on Pax until he mentioned it just before his death. Roxy starts crying and she asks Rudy as how she can continue to be a teacher. Rudy comforts her, and he reassures her that she will learn from her mistakes, and will continue to improve as a teacher. He further states how Roxy had a major positive impact on his life as his teacher, and greatly contributed to his personal growth. Rudy doesn't try to minimize the harm that Roxy had inflicted on Pax, but encourages her to learn from her mistakes, and to think of all the future students she may help. Students such as himself. Soon Ginger meets up with the group in the capital city. Ginger asks what Zanova's plans are going forward. Zanova states that he plans to go back to Sharia, and Ginger is happy to hear this. Zanova indicates that he will renounce his position as part of the royal family, but Ginger still plans to continue to serve Zanova to fulfill her promise to Zanova's mother. She doesn't care that Zanova will no longer be royalty. Hearing this, Zanova is reluctant, but Ginger continues to insist. So Zanova agrees for Ginger to continue to follow him. So Zanova, Roxy, and Rudy set off to return to Sharia. They go to the teleportation magic circle which brings them to Sky Castle. Zanova and Rudy greet Peruginus and give an update on the events that occurred in Shirney. Peruginus admonishes Zanova for thinking of binding himself to a single country, and he is happy to hear that Zanova had renounced his royal status. Soon they return to Sharia, and Rudy goes to meet Orsted to give him a report as well. So Rudy reports on the events in Shirn. He confesses to Orsted that he failed to prevent Pax's death. Orsted postulates that the king of Dragon Kingdom, Leonard King Dragon, was an apostle of Hidegami, and that the warlord Jade Shirn Kingdom General was also an apostle. By manipulating these people, Hidegami cornered Pax and drove him to suicide. Hidegami likely manipulated the Dragon Kingdom's king to assist Pax with claiming the throne, providing him the death god, and putting the country in a good position, and then manipulated Jay to orchestrate Pax's failure. So Rudy apologizes for his failure, and Orsted acknowledges that he made a mistake as well. After killing Leonard King Dragon, he acknowledges he should have gone to Shirney Kingdom. Rudy then wonders if someone could substitute for Pax and turning Shirn into a republic, but Orsted states there is no substitute. Zanova, who was standing behind Rudy, expresses his gratitude to Orsted. Zenova wonders if Orsted was trying to help Pax. Orsted reveals that he wasn't necessarily trying to help Pax, but rather he needed a man who would have been born in the country Pax would have created. Zenova asks Orsted to explain. Orsted explains that Pax would turn Shiren into a republic. After becoming a republic, Bolt Macedonius, a former slave trader, rises to power and is given an important post by Pax. From his descendants, the demon god Lapis is born. Now that Pax has died, Orsted no longer knows where Lapis will be born. Orsted states that Lapis must be killed in order to reach Hidegami, but while he can kill Lapis with his own power, this will consume too much of his magic power before his fight with Hidegami. Orsted says he is near the end of his loop before he is forcefully reincarnated, and so he doesn't have enough time after killing Lapis for his magic power to replenish. So Orsted announces that this loop is already a complete failure, just like the previous ones, but Zenova suggests that this loop may not actually be a failure yet. He suggests that they start gathering an army that can defeat Lapis, so that Orsted can save his magic power. Lapis won't revive for approximately another 80 years, so they have time to gather allies. Now Zenova wants revenge on Hidegami, who killed his brother. Zenova asks if Orsted would accept him as another subordinate. Ruddy supports Zenova's idea, and Orsted accepts Zenova's plan to gather allies and accepts him as another subordinate. Later Ruddy heads back to his home, and Zenova goes there as well to pick up Julie. At home, Ruddy sees Eris practicing her sword swings. He worries that she is overexerting herself as a pregnant lady, but Eris tells Ruddy that she'd actually gave birth to a baby boy 10 days ago. Ruddy has mixed feelings about this. While happy that Eris gave birth to a healthy baby boy, he is disappointed that he missed the delivery. Soon, Julie and Zenova have a happy and emotional reunion, and then they leave. Ruddy also has a happy and emotional reunion with the rest of his family. He meets his newborn son, who they named Ars Grey Rat. Then Ruddy tells his whole family about Hidegami and how he and Orsted are fighting. Hidegami. He tells his family that Lara might be the savior, why he cooperates with Orsted, and all the other details. The whole family nods in support, and Ruddy feels refreshed after revealing one of his secrets. The only secret Ruddy now holds is that he is reincarnated from another world. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure to like the video and get subscribed to the channel for more videos like this.